All right, I should have that fixed up. Test, test.
I hear you beautifully. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I sure can. I'm gonna turn you up just a little bit, but there we go.
Notice it sounds like my mic isn't as good as I thought it was, so I'll come in
What kind of mic
closer.
you got?
I don't I don't even know. It's something I saw at Best Buy. So I don't know what I'm doing with any of this stuff, man. My laptop, this thing is so old. It's a miracle it boots up every day. Like me.
It's all technology, you know. It's the way I look at it. I don't want to know it too well.
Amen. Hey, which brings me to the point. Thanks for hopping on here, brother. I appreciate it. I love your energy and I love your insight into what you've seen and what you've experienced. And I don't know much about you. Um,
Thanks.
but you said the words that you were willing to take a chance and join me, right?
Yes. Hey, well, I
My
mean, I say I'm open to hear your ideas. If I can't sit down and just have a conversation with you, I think that shows that I'm not actually open. And I like to be considerate of other people's ideas, even if I come with healthy skepticism, as I said in the email, and maybe even some self defeating aspects of myself, just because uh, I don't know exactly why, man. Just life experience. I said it's part in my own observation of the human condition, but uh, I want humanity to succeed. I want my kids to have a better future. I want my children's children to have broken these curses that we have, and I got to get over myself to have that part happen too, because I know that I'm part of the problem.
brother, we're on the same page. Absolutely everything you said. Um, when my eyes started opening to the facts, I had a lot of anger and rage at society. And then I had a lot of anger and rage at myself because I realized this is the world my son has to live in.
Yeah.
I haven't done enough. That's the way I felt. So that's why we're here. We're here because we want to do more. That's my intention. One of the things I've been learning and one of the gifts I'm trying to offer to others is I've been blessed with a bizarre experience. My life is just like everyone else's, but it's been different. But the education I've received, brother, I've been learning faith. Okay? Faith is actually priceless. And it's actually much simpler than what we've been led to believe. To have faith, all we have to do is surrender, sacrifice the idea of ourselves, and allow the truth to reveal what is real. So, the past several years, I've been learning, well, my life to learn these lessons, I sacrificed and lost pretty much everything I've worked my whole life to achieve. And I'm prepared to walk away from everything that I have left. But I don't think I'm going to have to. The future I see, Dick, is one where the human consciousness has been elevated, where we help each other rise above the primitive conditioning of our past. We help each other heal our trauma, help each other improve, help each other learn, help each other survive. And I see a future where we help each other create the perfect lives for each other, right? We help each other build each other's dreams. That's the movement I'm trying to start. I want to help you build your dreams, help you build the future that you hadn't imagined yet. And I want to build a safer world for our children, brother. And I think it's available to us.
Because of the cycle that we're in, or because of particular things aligning? Why do you think it's available?
That's a great question. Why do I think that? Yes, the cycles, and there's many, many, many different factors involved in what I said. That's what I mean. I've been blessed. I've learned from, like, I don't know the right words, but you familiar with Ben Davidson and Suspicious Observers channel?
Sounds familiar, but it's not something I frequent regularly or anything like that.
He's a guy who studies the astro sciences, right? This globe flat earth thing, he's the one who studies the round earth, the space, the sun, the cosmic energies, the the catastrophe cycles that are recorded in the geologies of earth. So between what the between the energy cycles of the sun, the repeating patterns in the geology, along with what the Mayans predicted, the Hopi in the Bible. Right now on this life, there's a lot of people who are claiming to be receiving messages from higher levels of consciousness, and so you got to take what you hear with a grain of sand. We don't really know what exactly is real, but if you look at even the mainstream news, there is a shift in the human consciousness around the world. People are waking up and saying, "Hey, whoa, there's stuff wrong," right? Even before the even before the response to COVID came up, people around the world were hitting the streets, right?
Yeah.
There was protests going around the world, and then there was a reaction and new information, and then the people are put into seclusion and self home arrest. It's
It was
my belief.
crazy. It's absolutely wild.
It is. But see, this is where my faith comes in, man. My mind has been blown about the insanity of our world. Okay, our world is absolutely nuts. This is a shit show, man.
Yeah.
So
In every respect, it seems like. I mean,
so we
just
can allow
governments, corporate jobs, all the running on the hamster wheel, keeping up with the Joneses. It's a mess.
it is a mess.
But people have chose it, right?
That's where we've got to recognize. Okay, what I'm trying. Okay, the big goals I see, and I talked about it the other day. I see a path through people who I know to try and speak with citizens of the United States government. Now, assuming this magic wand worked and that happened, and we found some folks in the United States government willing to cooperate and take a risk, right? They have connections to people in the media. And if we can get the global media involved, we can have a Zoom call with all the global leaders, and we can have a come to Jesus moment. Well, what does Jesus mean? Jesus is the symbol of God by many people's beliefs. What is the symbol of God? The God is truth, the God is light, the God is love. So I want to bring the truth, light, and love to the American government. And
Why don't they already have it?
they do, I believe they do have it, but this society, before we were born, the darkness has been allowed to lead. I mean, that's what the Illuminati is the visible darkness. They're the ones who have directed the evolution of our societies and our banking systems. So it's been secret societies that in through the religions and secret societies, our government and economic structures originated, came from crazy egos wanting to control the world. So what we need to do, what I believe, is we all need to accept responsibility. Okay? When we know of problems and we do nothing to solve the problems, we are enabling the problems to continue. That's just facts and logic.
See, this is the part where Paul starts, yelling, right, and everybody starts kind of dogpiling. And I'm trying not to take on that energy because I want it to be a productive conversation. But this is where that skepticism rises up in me, and I say, if I'm just being quite frank and honest, it's like bullshit. It's not going to happen. These people have no desire to listen to us. They could care two shits about what you think or what I think. And in fact, they would prefer people like you and I suffer for the way that we think, because truly we are the enemy in the crosshairs for them. They would rather just get rid of our type. So why are they going to have a cordial conversation with us about anything?
You're right. There are many people who view us that way, right? I was thinking about this though earlier today. Right now, today, and Paul's channel, I said it in the comments. What that is broadcasting history. By tomorrow, that broadcast becomes history, part of history. And at one time, at some point, we will become the they.
I like how you classified that, by the way. I did catch that. I thought it was a good observation.
Thank you. Well, this is what I finally came to humble myself. Like it or not, this is the society we live in. Okay. This is our reality. This is our time in history. And we've read a lot of atrocious things in the history. And you're right. History has proven there are those who despise us, who want us oppressed, who want us to suffer. Well, here's what I've learned I've been blessed, okay? I've been blessed to lose everything in the world, so I'm no longer attached to the world. I've risen above it in my mind. I look forward to death because God is found beyond the breath. We don't need
I agree with that.
to know God. We know God through the stillness and what is within. And what is within me, my brother?
I'd say the fullness of God is found beyond the breath. We're all aspects of it, fractals of it here and now. But, there's a separation that we're experiencing. And that's what gives us that yearning to want to come back to the source, come back to the truth.
I'm so glad you said it that way, because that's true. What this life is an experience for us to imagine a separation. We imagine a separation from God, from divinity. We imagine a separation between our minds and our hearts. And this society teaches us to deny who we are, to deny our love. In order to go to a job, we've got to sell ourselves and say, okay, my time is only worth this amount.
Right.
I did that my whole life. And you know what? For a guy who didn't go to college, I had a good job with the post office. Damn good income, nice secure benefits. I thought I was doing everything right, man. Harlow noticed it. He's like, yeah, you went from the military to the post office. Good job, dude. I'm like, yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, I have my own experience of that, but I would characterize it in a similar way, that I thought I was being somebody, doing what I'm supposed to do as far as making someone of myself in the world. And it wasn't really until I got closer to the middle management kind of roles where I started seeing, all the people that are above me in these positions, they're heartless, soulless creatures of death that care more about their drop top Benz than they do their wife or their kids. And it's all about trophies and trinkets, trying to impress people to keep up an illusion of happiness, when I would have real conversations with them in their office on the long hour weeks that we'd have trying to hit budget or whatever. And remember this one guy who was terminally ill with cancer, who was one of my VPs in the company, would say, I haven't seen my kids dance recitals, haven't been to my kids' baseball games, have a terrible relationship with my family. I'm on my, second marriage, and it's not going well. And I got cancer now and I'm dying. And I looked at him and I said, man, I'm sorry it worked out that way for you. And then in my own heart, I said, dude, I gotta cut bait and run. I gotta get the hell out of here, because I'm gonna end up right where this dude is. I see him on the same trajectory, and all the same things are lining up for me. And so I knew it was fake. And I knew I had to make a choice. I had to get out of that. And like you, I had to spontaneously combust and lose everything in that process. Not everything, but I lost a lot, and I don't regret it. I mean, everything I lost, I needed to lose.
How long ago was that?
About 12 years ago now.
Actually,
no, actually, it's like 15 years ago now.
good
About
for
15
you.
years ago. Yeah.
See,
Because, it was a progression. I quit, which was the big dream job where I was making the big bucks, and I was at the prime position in the corporate ladder there. Left, and I was working for a guitar company, Fender Musical Instruments. I was one of their regional managers, so I handled a big portion of the country. And when I left that, my wife got pregnant the night I was going in to leave. And so it really tested our faith in it. Like, are we going to fall through with this whole thing, or are we just going to, have to backstep a little? And we both kind of looked at each other. At the time we were kind of in a Christian faith, so we prayed and we determined, no, we got to do this. It was for my health and for hers. And so we did it, but I had to recreate myself quickly. So I kind of got back into a similar position just as an independent rep. And I worked that out for another 3-4 years till I finally said, enough's enough. Like, I can't raise my kids being on the road in a hotel, calling in, my father duties. That's just not working. So yeah, that's kind of how that all worked.
good
So I quit.
I commend you, and you don't need reinforcement for the choices you made, but I commend you, brother. It sounds like you did what was right. And what
Hasn't
I
been
believe,
easy. Had to reinvent myself a bunch, Jack. I mean, I had to learn how to be a handyman and work with my hands, have skills. I had to kind of go back to school and be the grunt guy in painting jobs, doing the shit nobody wanted to do, standing under blacking out a ceiling for Tongue and Groove that they were going to put up, and just breathing in paint all day. And someone would see I had initiative and say, a carpenter guy would say, why are you doing this painting shit? Why don't you make a little more money and come over here and help me do some masonry work or little carpentry work? And so I learned everything about light construction over the last 12, 13 years, which has been great. Which I kind of always wanted to do that. So, I mean, I didn't know that's the way it would spiral and that I'd start working with my hands again, but I love manual labor. So, I mean, it was actually, there was a silver lining there, big time.
those are skills I never really learned. I did a little bit, but never to the point I was comfortable or I enjoyed it, meaning construction or building stuff. So, hey, but you said a few things, and where I'm at now, faith, man. My life is a crazy story, and that's what I finally realized is when I was drinking, when I was part of the society, faith was a gift I had not received. I'm a stubborn man, and so, I was proud of all my achievements and everything that I had done in my past. And I've done things to be proud of, but there's a God. There's a God in control.
Yeah.
We don't control shit, man. So what does that mean? It means we got to learn how to be. And life happens, right? What you were saying?
Sure.
We don't know where we're going to end up.
No, I
I've
agree with
done,
that. I
I've
mean,
done,
we can have an idea in our head, but it don't always work out that way.
I've done video. I did this, mentioned this in a recent video. I remember like waking up in the middle of basic training, people yelling at me, and I was like, Jack, what the fuck are you doing, man? How'd you end up here? Oh, yeah, you made choices, right?
Right.
Next time I'm in Korea, I'm like, what are you doing here, man? And so every day I'm like, what are you doing here, man? Oh, yeah, you made choices. You
Yeah.
chose, you chose to be here, but
I'm gonna see if someone can put my dogs out here because they're having a big wrestling
hey,
fest right next to me.
take care. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, man. I mean, there's that whole thing. Faith without works is dead. So it's just like this balance, and then there's always this argument over is it faith first or works first? And I think there is really a healthy balance there between the two that has to be found to really achieve things. And the uh, the works part seems to me to be lacking a lot within a lot of these ideas and movements of like how to practically put things into motion. You know, a lot of people are living on faith right now because when you look at the dire state of the world, it's like maybe that's all you got. It's like I got to keep believing in God. I got to keep believing in hope because if I lose that, boy, I mean, there's nothing left. You know, I mean, what am I even doing here? It's going to become a really depressing state. Uh, Go ahead if you want to hit on any
Well,
of that.
yeah, what exactly
And if
to
my
kind of
signal's bad, let me know. I'll shut the camera off because it may make it better, but got
no,
a slow signal.
you sound beautiful. We touched on it before and what you were describing. Faith is being tested right now. I truly believe that throughout the world, this is like the dark night of the soul. We each go through that individually. You ever heard that term?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I
It's a
think
valley of the shadow of death too.
there's so many ways to describe. We've been blessed with a lot of explanations. We're all on our own hero journey, right? And what I've come to realize, my life has been perfect for the goals that I'm sharing. Okay. I wouldn't be saying these things if I didn't believe they could be achieved and if I didn't believe they were possible. But where I'm at right now, I sit here full of faith and hope for the future, but that's kind of because my life is surrounded by problems. Um, I'm trying to reunite with my friend or my son, trying to reunite with my son. He's 20 years old, somewhere here in town.
Yep.
Raised to believe in the military, raised to believe in the nation. He's a confused kid who doesn't understand what love is because I didn't learn what love was as his father until after he left my life. But I have faith that God, God is with us. Okay. And I followed my own path. I started out with science and history, right? Trying to understand. I I started trying to figure out why the race struggle was still continuing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I never understood that as a kid when I'd learned about Dr. Martin Luther
Yeah, it's
King
getting
and
worse, but yet
post-slavery.
it
Yeah,
seems it was supposedly getting better, and yet all we've seen in our lifetime is it becomes more of a divide and more tension between races. But it's by
well,
design now. We both know that. That's part of the divide and conquer propaganda. I mean, that's been programmed into many of us. And if unless you're looking beyond that, you're going to get caught in that sauce too and have some kind of dog in that fight where you think you've got to pick sides or whatever. And it's all just a big fucking joke, you know? I mean, you can just exempt yourself of it too and say, I don't play those games. I'm not even involved in your race bullshit. Or you can make
amen.
fun of it too, you know, which is what Paul does a lot. And I do appreciate that side of how to handle it.
Yes, we've got to find ways to laugh at it, but the race, yeah, it's been an unnecessary division. I mean, I was conditioned in it. Race, gender, you know, religion, all these things, they're imagined separations.
Yeah, it's just a
And
joke. We're all in a zoo being enslaved. It's like, here, let's fight over the color of each other's fur, as a bunch of gorillas or something. I mean,
that's
what
the
an
state
unproductive thing to do.
that's the state of what's going on. But on the other hand, we are the children of God, right? Earth is
Yeah,
God's
I do
creation.
agree with that.
Nature created us, so we are here living in God's kingdom, and we are free when we free ourselves, detach ourselves from the worldly ways, right?
Hmm.
Authority and conflicts and egos and all this crap. We're children of God and we are free. And if we're free, we're here to share the light.
Yeah, and to co-create. I mean, we have that image bearer aspect of the Most High, and we carry that with us. So, what does the Most High do? The Most High creates, and
Man,
that stewardship has been given to us. Now, granted, a lot of us haven't taken accountability for that, and we've squandered the opportunity to try to fit in with the system that really desired to take that creativity out of us. But I wonder, like, what Truth, Not Lie, says here, where he says, just stop participating in their company and let them know you're not part of them. What do you think of that?
I saw that, and that's the advice I get a lot. Um, and I don't remember if you were there. We In recent discussions, it came up about these breakaway societies. And I know in the truth movement, there are a lot of people. I've come across some great people who've dedicated a lot of time trying to figure out alternatives. But Veterans for Peace, I mean, if we do breakaway societies and just pretend not to participate, we're not doing anything to confront what is actually happening. And I think
Well, I
the only
mean,
way
in practice, though, if everybody didn't participate, I mean, that would, in essence, render that system useless and unable to operate, because it's our currency that's building it up, right? It's just like this metaverse they talk about. Everybody's worried about the metaverse. Well, if you don't like it, don't go, because it doesn't exist without you. It's your conscious intention that makes it real. But what we find is too many people, the masses flock into it, and they're trying to pull us with their, uh, I guess, stifled consciousness into it. Their lack of awareness is trying to pull people who don't, or who see through those lies, into it. Because think about it, it's like, if your 20-year-old son goes into the metaverse and he's spending 24/7 of his week there, of his day there, 7 days a week, and you try to reach out to him and he says, Dad, I'm not even in the realm you're in anymore. If you want to know me, come in here, and I'd love to see you. Put an avatar on and come join me. It might tempt you, you know. It might tempt any mortal man. And this
that's
is how they
actually
snag us.
here, let me try and paint a picture for you because that's actually what's happening in society.
Yeah,
We live
that's why I said it's an analogy to the big picture of how they got us into government. Same kind of fucking bullshit. They do it's a reciprocating cycle. There's nothing new under the sun here. They fool us with the same game over and over.
Well, yes, what we've been convinced to do is to play along in this pretend world.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
pretend government, pretend baking. So where is pretend? Pretend is all in the mind. It's not what is real. And so what else is in the mind? This is what I just realized too. I just connected this recently. Obvious. Fear and faith. Both of those things, they come from our damn imaginations. Fear and faith come from our mind. And so we're existing in this realm as a mind game. And there's been a psychological battle against the masses for a long time. Dick, this is why I want to speak to the people in the United States government, because as a union rep, right, as a man who spent his life standing up for workers, I want to speak to the bosses of the Corporation of America. and I can present the case. I can point to the evidence that we all see, and I can explain the evidence, the facts that prove beyond a shadow of a doubt capitalism creates insanity in humans. The cure for capitalism, the cure for tyranny, the cure for insanity is the truth. And we'll all know the truth when secrets are no longer legal.
Yeah, but it sounds like a mantra with no practical uh, objectives behind it that are tangible, that people could actually put one foot in front of the other to do anything with it. So, I mean, it sounds good in the way that you present it, but that's where it ends to me. It's like, okay, I need a society where there's no secrets. Well, I mean, if you had honest people with integrity working together that had respect for each other, none of those things would exist.
Right?
Now, if you and I go do that, we still have to do that within the constraints of an oppressive system that seeks to destroy that. And I'm saying, all while that is happening, I don't think that it's not realistic to do something like that. I see other examples that have. I mentioned it earlier to Wiz in the stream with Paul, the 12 tribes, the Amish, the Mennonites, the natives, they've all found ways. Now, I think the examples of how that's manifested still has a lot of error. I mean, to turn your native reservation into a fucking gambling casino where everybody can get drunk and smoke cigarettes all day is pathetic. So could it be done better? Yeah, I think it could be. But I think the reason it's not done better is not by accident either. They kind of infiltrate that stuff, and there are agents and operatives who come in to seek to kill, steal, and destroy anything good that's happening within a movement because they don't want the people free. They want us enslaved. And then you get all the way full circle to where you say, well, we got to deal with this government then. And then that's the worst thing you could do, right? Because they'll take a motherfucker out as quick as he starts even having that conversation, even if not just covertly, right? They'll target your ass.
And
that's real, right?
Yes. Here, let me explain. I mean, these ideas, they're not new, and I've spent a lot of time. I can explain how it might mature and evolve beyond this change, and is beautiful. But this didn't just, I didn't just wake up one day and say, I should try and, speak to these people. Because I realized what I was doing. What happened for me in 2018, I got sober from booze in 16. The end of 17, I had a powerful spiritual awakening, a shift in my consciousness, whatever you want to call it. I experienced a powerful phenomenon. That was the end of 2017. So at 2018, I looked at the world and Donald Trump was president. And I was looking at workers' rights continuing to be oppressed. I was watching the judicial system continuing to be manipulated and stacked against those who believe in workers' rights. So I got pissed off in 2018 and I thought I could make a difference. That's when I started understanding and realizing that this world we live in is insane, but there is an infinite design and there are patterns to what is. I've been studying the patterns and I understand the laws of creation regarding the Hermetic philosophies, and my path of knowledge took me from the ancient philosophers through the Buddhic wisdom to understand the love of the Christ. And I believe we are the return of the Christ. We are the second coming. Now, is there?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't know.
No, but that's a tremendous responsibility, right? Because that means greater things will we do. Amen. So I do have to get out of my own way in that sense and realize that even if I think with my carnal mind I can't, that doesn't mean that that's necessarily true. And I may be limiting my own potential just by my analytical, intellectual idea of boundaries of what can and can't be done, which is the thing
Brother,
I admire about you, because even though I don't see substance behind your plan from like a practical sense, I see this genuine faith to stay committed to love, to commit yourself to hope and optimism, despite the fact that people around you, everybody's taking a shot at you, because it's easy to do in one sense, brother. Like it's like, here's this, it's kind of like Robert Graves. If you remember when he came in, he's like, I got a plan. If everybody will buy this water stick, we can save the world. And I know you're not doing that. You're not telling anybody to buy a water stick, but like a lot of times people put solutions out there and it's like, man, this ain't my first rodeo. Like it's not the first time I went around the block. I didn't just fall off the turnip truck, as my gramps used to say. The shit is not just as simple as saying, well, I'm going to go talk to some people in high executive offices and tell them, you got to stop having secrets. That can't happen anymore, because their whole system is built on secrets.
amen.
I mean, that's the whole idea behind the military industrial complex. It's a need to know basis, and you don't need to know. Why are you surveilling me? Why are you data mining me? Why are you reverse analyzing me? Why are you hacking me with this technology? Why are you treating me like I'm in some kind of reality show where there's a camera everywhere and every single orifice of my body has to be viewed at any time remotely? For who? Some facility in Utah that collates all the information to, do what with it? To own you, to know you better than you know yourself. And it's like, why is that all happening? Well, for your safety and convenience. So those people are obviously steadfast. They're super committed to enslaving you and me more, and our kids and everyone around us.
So
They're not
far.
going to, a conversation. Now, I know you're saying maybe not go to them directly, right, Jack? You're saying go to people who still have a heart, who still have a soul, that are in that system, but they're not going to fix it. They're going to have to come out of it. Okay, go ahead.
Keep your skepticism, but allow me a little movement. Okay.
I'm going to mute myself and let you go. Go for it.
No, you brought up several things. First of all, thank you for recognizing my efforts. Right, I do try and keep hope and faith and love in the front of my mind. So
yeah, I appreciate that too.
Thank you for seeing that. And for anyone else who might listen to this, you shared an excellent tip. Get that friggin' word can't out of our damn minds, man. We don't know something can't be done until we have proven it cannot. And I believe that if another man can do something, I can too. I may not be able to do it perfectly. I may not be able to do it as well as someone else, but I can do what anyone else can do. I told myself that I could become a man more like Jesus. Lots of people said you can't. And you know what? Prove me wrong. I mean, I can come up with enough similarities, right, to build the case that he and I, as Jesus was, I am. Prove me wrong.
No, I agree. We have to be that. If we, the Christians say, because it's following Christ, right? But then they have none of the embodiment or fruits or spirits of the Christed man. As a man who's lost everything, the Christ slept with no place to lay his head. I mean, a rock was his home for the night. So we all have parts of that, if we're living in truth, that are starting to surface in who we are, right? We're seeing that Christ in us.
Sorry to interrupt, but this actually ties into the earlier stream I did today as well. And I shared, you ever heard of Shunya Murti by chance?
I'll write it down though.
He's a guy I just, I'll throw it in the chat or whatever, but
Shunya Murti?
Yeah, ShunyAMurti. I don't know his background, but I loved the wisdom I heard him sharing, and what he was talking about is just what we were discussing, right? The Spirit of the Christ. The Spirit of the Christ is there, and we are the Spirit of the Christ until we prove that we are not, right?
Yep.
And we get to choose when we follow unhealthy desires. We get to choose when we slander and harm others or ourselves.
True.
We don't have to beat each other up in order to help each other or understand each other. This is what I've learned. And
YouTube really feeds off it. That's for sure, though. That algorithm loves it.
it's a product of this society. That's what I mean. Should I get to the position, if should I get the attention of people who have the legislative authority or more connections than you or I, right? Get some wealthy people or some people who people listen to. The evidence proves this system we were born into.
Hey, I really hate to interrupt. I just want to say something before I forget and before you go too far. And I also must love it too, because I don't want to present myself as a hypocrite, because I watch it, I engage in it, and I am also part of what allows it to have value, because it's like the metaverse. If I didn't show up to watch the YouTube drama show, then, and everybody else didn't, then no one would do it.
Right.
But I create it on my channel. I do the same fucking things that I can also admit are not always productive.
It's actually a wonderful tool, and it is a tool of the time. In between the chaos, it is this technology, dude. This is what I mean. We are blessed. Our parents, our grandparents, they were more confused than we were. They didn't know this slave system. They were taught to do what they had to do, to go to a job. They were taught to obey, and they were taught not to discuss their problems. Men were taught not to discuss their problems with others, and women, oh shit, don't let those household
True.
secrets out.
Unless you were a Mason.
Right.
Seriously, that's where if you were in the order, then you could discuss how to form and shape society. You needed to be in the higher levels of the order.
Amen. Well, those orders have built a very unique and a very cool society. It's been brilliant. Let's get to the point though. What people do need to realize, not only who they are, they need to become comfortable with themselves, with whatever life they're living, so that they may flourish, that the truth may reveal what they might do, because our minds will talk us out of even trying to do stuff. Well, I convinced myself.
Yeah, I resonate with that.
I convinced myself back in 2018 that I was willing to speak out the truth, and I know the truth of our Federal Reserve System and its part in enslaving society. So I looked at reality. 2018, I'm willing to stand up against Federal Reserve. And I didn't realize there's lots of groups doing that. I thought I was going to be unique and alone, but I was prepared to die.
Yeah, which most are not, right? You see a lot of these groups are just talk. They won't even move forward to try to attempt and create an audit. It's like every president who's been in office for the last 3 terms, from Obama, even Bush actually said it too, said it's unconstitutional, the whole deficit, and there needs to be some kind of audit done to the Federal Reserve. Obama said it. Trump said it coming in, and as soon as they get in that big Oval Office and the big seat, they seem to forget all about the idea of honest money and how we're getting screwed by this globalist, which, that's also arguable. Is it a globe? I don't necessarily think it is, but that's what they like to call themselves, the globalist elite bankers. And yeah, they're running the show. If you control the money, you control the people. So we all know what's going on if we're paying attention, but nobody follows through on bringing the power back to the people, because that one simple thing, Jack, if we did nothing else, which they would kill you and I if we ever got close to doing it. But if there was enough people that were actually come together, as people like to say, or gathered around this ideal, and if you had 80% of society saying, no, we won't even transact with your money anymore, we're done. Like, you're going to give us honest money, or we're going to go back to barter and form our own ways of transacting, and you have to be careful how you say that, right? Because if you do anything that's counterfeit, but yet you have all this stuff surfacing with cryptos, right? Which very much looks like a currency. Now they're having all these legal battles about FTX and the different, regulations that we might need to make it safe. Well, what we know it's all going to boil down to is we have a Fed coin for you. It's digital. It's for your safety and convenience. We can manipulate it just like your Federal Reserve notes. Take it, eat that, slave. And there's nothing, even though we know there's a million better options and a million ways that we could do this that would actually be for the people, by the people, of the people, would represent us. So that's what we keep running up against, man, is it's like they got a plan and they don't plan to let us have a real plan.
Well, this is why I believe this path can work. Okay. Like I said, my path through the post office, the postmaster general, and my national union president. My national union president, Mark Diamondstein, he knows me. And Mark, you and I will be talking again someday. These two gentlemen, by their positions, I mean, the postmaster general is a presidential appointment. He was appointed by Trump. People make fun of me and laugh, but yeah, I want to have a conversation with Donald Trump. He's a powerful man. He's got a lot of connections, and he could use some lessons in humility and honesty. And I think it's time.
I was going to say he's a liar.
Yeah.
He's an outright bold-faced liar to everyone who supported him.
I set out in 2018 after I set the goal to become a man more like Jesus. I started learning a lot of stuff. My goal was to create classes to teach leadership. I can teach leadership, and the way of leadership that I teach is the way that Jesus taught, the way he showed us. That's what a leader is. So I realized in 2018, if it could be true, if my life is by some chance a retelling of the Jesus story, which I can build that case, well, then me and Donald Trump are both examples for the rest of the world to learn from, just like Jesus was. So I am the antithesis of both Jesus and Donald Trump. I am not perfect. I'm a common man. I've made a lot of sins, a lot of mistakes. I wear glasses, missing 2 teeth. I'm nothing like Jesus, but I'm alive.
Could be other
today.
stories though, right? Could be like David and Goliath. Could be like,
there's many.
Yeah, any number of ways to characterize what we go through on this journey.
But I looked at it as God is the ultimate author. There is a designer, Grandover designer, that reveals history to humanity moment by moment. And throughout time, God has started creation, and we participate with creation consciously. We are the narrators. We are the storytellers that God has imagined, and we are here to share our stories, learn from the stories of others, to carry on the stories of tradition as we create, nurture, conserve, and regenerate that which has been offered. And the only way we can do that is if we embrace what we've received, and what we've received is life. And we can have gratitude for life. We can come together with the facts. The truth is, we don't have to continue the path of the past. The truth is, there's people alive today in Washington, D.C., who can use diplomacy and their connections to convince the militaries around the world to stand down. And we can use the citizens in our government, the puppets, and that's what they are. The American government is puppets dancing to the tunes of the bankers and the pharmaceutical corporations. So if we want If we want to free ourselves from tyranny, we need to face the demons, and the demons are hidden behind the lies. I am a man. I set a goal to be like Jesus. My trademark, by the way, there's another thing I'd like to discuss, is how do we build a website and a movement with Live Without Fear. I think it's evidence and a message from God, to be honest. But if we can create a world without secrets and lies, when humanity comes together, man, if we redo our distribution system of the economy, we don't have to have budgets and authorities tell us how to control our lives together anymore. That's the point, right?
Yeah. It's hard for me because I wanna join you in your faith, Jack, and I wanna say, you know what, damn it, we're gonna move these mountains and we're gonna do everything you're saying we're gonna do because I want what you want, you know, and I see that
How about
what you want is not like rooted in uh, just some kind of fucking fairy tale. Like you are hitting the nail on the head. You know what the enemy is. You know that they control the people through the money. This fiat fucking system of lies has to become honest, and you can't have a bunch of secrets ruling over the people. The secrets do have to go away. So I mean, what you're saying is fundamentally sound.
hey Dick?
I think it is like you know what, they're going to do the same thing to you that they did to the Christ, because that's how they keep this realm, right? They kill people like us. They just stick us up on a cross and they piss on us and shit on us, make a mockery of us so everybody can laugh while they stick bamboo shoots in our fingers and we scream in utter pain and agony to our very last breath. And that's an example for all you slaves. You ever think you want to change this system over? Be like Jesus Christ. Be like Jack Talcott. Go give it a try if you want to, Dick. You want to be next in line? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, and I don't, and maybe that sounds like fear on my part, but I'm just illustrating to you the way my mind, just
Hey,
processes all this.
Dick, you're spot on, and thank you for your honesty and everything. It is fear driving that, but it's normal. It's you're using logic and you're saying, hey, this shit doesn't, this is what the facts show, Jack. But here's something else.
I have to believe Jesus that when he said, greater things will you do, that legitimately I'm going to move these mountains. I'm going to take the same path that Christ did, but this time, and apparently he won, right? He went down to hell, defeated Satan, rose back up, but yet we're still in hell here. So in one sense, it's like, well, no, he didn't. But now it's us that have to do it, and we actually have to truly change it for good. And
We got
yet
to believe we can.
that's
We've
a
got
fucking hard, that goes back to what Wizard was saying about belief. Like, because
right.
in the middle of that word, even it's a spell, right? It's words of Babel. So the lie is right there the whole time, staring you right in the face. Like, you think you're going to believe your way to a better day?
But without belief, there
Hmm.
is no faith. And without belief, there's no trust. Gimp was going on and on about trust, and he's got some truth to that. We need more trust. But
Yeah.
Dick, let me try and address a couple of things though, because you're
Sure.
right.
Go ahead.
I have the benefit of what I've learned, and you don't know me. I mean, really, we've been at the same place, but this is really kind of our first chance to really talk. So
Yep.
so you don't know what I've experienced or learned or even imagined. I don't I'm not looking for someone to help me do these end goals. What I am looking for someone to partner with me at this point, I swear to God, man, before I get to that point, I want to come back to why I have faith that I'm not going to end up on a cross or murdered or persecuted or tortured. The fact that I'm sitting here comfortably talking to you right now, There's no logical reason why I should still have comfort, heat, or even electricity. God has blessed me. That's the only solution, only logical explanation I can point to as far as why I'm waking up where I am with the comfort and the blessings that I have. Because by everyone around me, okay, my friends, family, neighbors, they all avoid me. They think I'm worthless. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm dangerous. They think I'm on drugs. I've been accused of so many horrible things, dude.
I think we all have that in common in some capacity if we've been through this path of awakening to all the lies, you know, because just even telling your family about it. I mean, I got family they're, you know, I don't want to say anything to risk your channel, but you know, all the stuff that people are doing. And I tried to encourage them not to. And my God, what a divisive subject that all was. Cause now I'm the redheaded stepchild or whatever, but it is
My
what it is,
family
man.
my family had pushed me away before all that. I don't even know what my
Yeah.
son has chosen to do.
And I shouldn't be
So
here either. I won't share the whole story just to not belabor a whole sidetrack point that will take us off track. But I had divine intervention. I should be dead. And the story is one of supernatural where things appeared to prevent me from doing things out of thin air, and things appeared out of thin air, literally dropped in my hand to cause me to go on a journey that I wouldn't have otherwise. So, and people will listen to that and they'll say, okay, I've heard enough. This guy's, he's smoking the wacky stuff. And it's like, well, that's fine, but this is my journey. I'm not going to let anyone take away the experience I had. I was the witness for that. That's my testimony. It's not anybody else's. But I'm with you in that things have happened that had it not had that divine intervention, I would not be having this conversation with you. So there must be a reason for me to be here right now, and there must be a reason for you to be here.
Dick, I want to hear that stories. I want to hear those stories at some point. Um, because what you said though, it's just confirmation. Yes, there's a reason you and I are connecting at this time. I mean, out of the all infinite possibilities of what could be, here's where we are.
I mean,
And
all of us, there's a reason all of us are. There's no appointment that's not divine. You know, even the one you have with your enemy is for a divine purpose.
thank you. Yes. Here's my particular problem though. No one around me has accepted me for who I am since 2018. Literally, what happened was I started caring about myself, and the enablers around me, those who loved me and cared about me, they enabled my bad habits and my conformity to society. But once I started changing, all my enablers became confused. Now, I credit God for their confusion and for the fact that I've been allowed to lose everyone, and I had to accept everyone was out of my life, like everyone. And since 2018, I've been walking around trying to meet new people. But hi, I'm Jack. I claim to know a lot of things, and yeah, I got fired from the post office, and yeah, my family doesn't like me, but hey, I'm actually a good guy. You want to spend some time with me? People are like, no, you're weird, man. And
Dude, we
and
got
here's
in an argument on Paul's show earlier about if we had to start a community, would we rather start it with GIMP or with Jack Talcott? And it was kind of like split right down the middle, where I think Wiz was on the side of GIMP, and there's a couple other
wow.
people, and Paul was on your side, and I was on your side.
Thanks,
Uh,
man.
and truthfully, at the end of the day, the main reason why is I could sit around a campfire with you and smoke a bowl and talk with you. And even despite if we have differences or whatever, I can tell that genuinely, even if you're wrong in things, your heart's in the right place. You're trying to do. I don't think you're fake as you've been described, but I do think your love kind of angle comes across as disingenuous, uh, because of what I've spoke to here, which is like there's to actually put this into action is kind of asking people to write themselves a death sentence. Now you've just said, though, you said I'm not asking you to do that, so I appreciate you saying that, because you're saying you're going to do that essentially, but you didn't tell me what you are asking me to do. So I hope you'll come around to that.
Yes, thank you. Literally what I'm asking for, I've I've been I'm searching for a witness. I'm searching for someone who's willing to investigate other sides of my story, right? Call up some people, maybe send a couple messages through
But I don't
Facebook.
need to. I can take you at your word. I believe you. Why would you lie to me?
It's the other people who are lying. I'm trying to convince people to admit they were wrong. Okay. And
Who's that?
what's that?
Who are you trying to get to admit they were wrong?
My best friends and my family and the people who've been persecuting me.
But why does it matter? I mean, I have a similar situation, but I don't care about proving that I'm honestly, they're going to find out because the fruits are in it, right? Like if I told someone, don't do something, I'm telling you, it's going to harm you. And then they went and did it 5 times. And now they have cognitive dissonance. They can't even hold a conversation because their synapses aren't firing and their body's shutting down. The proof's in the pudding, right? I mean, what I don't want to be an I told you so. Now I don't even send them information because I'm like, why? I don't want to hurt them more. They've already hurt themselves.
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
I do, but this is my actual reality. Okay. I'm blown off. I've met with probably, I lost track and don't remember, but I'm guessing the number was, I've met with 7 pastors locally around here. I've been going to Bible studies. I've reached out to people not only locally but around the online around the world. I'm trying to convince my best friends. I've got best friends who've known me since high school. We've been friends for over 30 years. They stopped speaking to me in 2018, and then they started talking about me. So since 2018, after I chose to improve, everything I've done has been, I've caused confusion. Everyone around me has misunderstood everything I've done. It cost me my 22-year career at the post office. So part of the reason I'm still looking at the past is I'm trying to reunite with my family, trying to restore my family. I'm trying to restore my reputation for the reason of, well, there's already $250,000 of fiat currency and denied wages that I'm trying to have conversations with people about. And if you bring in the future employment obligations by their rules and laws, it's about $1 million that is being denied to me and my family. So I'm trying to find human beings willing to help me open up doors of communication to people who I know. So, and it's really like, hey, do you know this guy, Jack? He seems like a decent guy. When was the last time you talked to him? What do you think of him? Well, he says you're avoiding him. Why are you avoiding him? What do you think he's going to do?
Yeah,
And
but
then
all
maybe,
of our you're asking people who have the same reputation in that sense. Like we have no credibility with any people of authority, right? Other than, maybe they just think, wow, he actually does know quite a bit about a lot of things, but I still can't listen to him because as soon as I do, he's going to pop my bubble. And that means, once one domino goes over, the whole thing unravels. So, people have that psychological wall up. If I called him, it's not going to make a difference. I don't even think someone as eloquent as like Paul or whatever, if he called them, if people don't want to listen, they're not going to listen. They don't
right?
give a shit.
But we won't know until we try. And since 2018, I failed to find another human being willing to try and cooperate with me. Dick,
Would
this
your
is what I
son
mean.
join a a conversation with us, not even live necessarily, just like a panel like this where, you know,
I don't know. I have two phone numbers and both of my numbers are blocked. And since 2018, I've paid Dick. I
hmm
set the goal to be more like Jesus. I've studied God, the philosophy, the live without fear, I believe is evidence for what I'm saying. I claim to be a messenger of the truth, for the truth of God's love. I believe God is using me as a modern day messenger. I'm just like everyone else, but if I can find other people to confirm or deny my story, because right now I'm sitting alone with ideas that there's a path for me to pursue ending wars and trying to reform the world, but through people who know me, but I can't convince
yeah.
people who know me to talk to me.
Well, like you said, I don't know you that well. Just from a surface level conversation, I'm going to tell you in love and genuine authenticity that I think your desire to do that is a fault, and it's holding you back from being that messenger that you're intended to be, because you don't need to go back through the past and try to convince relatives and even your own son. I mean, I know as hard as that hurts to feel like
Great.
you
So
have to
what's
make.
the other solution? What direction do I go? Everyone tells me not to do what I want. So what should I do?
Well, I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm saying I think it's a fault that you feel you have to do that.
I
If
didn't
that's
say
meant
I
to be,
have
that
to.
this goes back to the faith thing. If those doors open, you see, you're trying to create the circumstances to create that communication and for people to testify for you and to validate you. And in
I'm
truth,
trying,
the truth needs no defense. So you
right,
don't need to
but
validate anything.
until people see the truth, I am the truth of what
You're
I
the
say.
only one that can show them that, though, right? My word doesn't matter anything when it comes to what I say about you, especially the limited time we've known each other and the capacity that I
Sure.
know you. So if I was to start picking up the
But
phone and saying, "Hey, what about this Jack guy? Is his story
okay.
true? Is what he's saying
But
valid?" You get where I'm going with all that? It's like,
I I
is it
do, but
really
let
going to
me
be a productive result?
we can always find reasons that we believe things won't work. There's lots of reasons to believe not we shouldn't try and that it won't work. But here's what I know. You you have spent more time talking to me than people who I've spent my life trying to prove my worthiness to.
You don't have to prove anything to me. I respect you just based on the fact that I'm connected to you. We're you know,
Right. The
I see the
people
image of the Most High in you. I see that you are child of God, and you're not about this system of lies. You see the corruption for what it is. There's a lot we agree on, Jack.
I
There really
know.
is.
I know there is. The difference though is that for whatever reason, my reality is what it is. And I'm honest about what has happened. I miss people, Dick.
We all do, man. We've lost a lot. We've lost a lot of friends.
No,
I mean,
no, no, no one has. I have been I became a stranger in my hometown. I've literally, there was at one time I asked a guy at a bakery that I did frequent. I mean, I see people, they'll conduct business, they'll take my money,
yeah,
but nobody sees Jack. And so I was like, dude, am I dead? I mean,
dude,
I
I was
am dead.
abandoned by my own
I'm,
father. I mean, uh, I was abandoned by my peers. I was abandoned by people who live vicariously through me. I was abandoned by so-called friends. They all cut bait and ran on me, and for a little bit there, I fed off it and was like, yeah, fuck all these people, get them out of my life. They're all trash. They fucking are
that.
cheaters and liars anyway, and they never respected me anyway. But as one by one they all dropped off, and I'm dwindled down to where I got one friend I can call on the phone that still accepts me and still respects me after all of it. You kind of go,
Yeah,
fuck,
our
was
egos,
it worth it?
the human egos are fucking nuts. They're ridiculous, and people defend the shit out of their egos, and people kill people. People kill people because of what they believe, what they
But it
think.
was worth it, right? I mean, because when I asked that question, I realized, dude, I could have it no other way. I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself if I wouldn't have taken that path. So everything you've lost was worth it, was it not?
Yes, yes, this is my point. I have been blessed, okay? I am not the same man that these people are fucking avoiding. I have been blessed, and I'm trying to share my blessings, my hope, and my faith with my 20-year-old son. I'm trying to convince my friends and family that I'm actually a man worthy of attention. I don't actually deserve to have my home auctioned out from under me. I really don't.
No, I don't think you do either.
Please tell anyone who used to know me. They disagree. They don't want to they want to believe that it is impossible to have a conversation with me despite the fact that there's fucking evidence everywhere.
But from their perspective, it might be. It's not for me. But if you're a judge sitting behind a pulpit that's operating in a capacity of some legalese and you're telling them these secrets are not legal, you need to stop with all these secrets, they're just laughing in your face because their whole system is built on exactly what you're saying they shouldn't be doing.
I'm talking about nobodies. I'm talking about normal human beings.
Well, but if you're going to reach people in government, there'd have to be nobodies in government. And the truth is there is no nobodies, right? Everybody who's in the system thinks they're somebody, and they're trying to protect that somebody, that straw man character, that false identity. And so unless they're willing to take the path you've taken, that I've taken, and many others have, where we're willing to self-sacrifice, throw ourselves on the court of public opinion to be torn apart at the seams by a bunch of fucking ravenous predators, because that's basically what they do to you. They mock you, they chew you up and spit you out. And unless those people are willing to go through that, they're not going to have the perspective we have.
We can help them learn. We can entice them by encouragement, saying, hey, you know what, these are some of the things we've learned. We can help you avoid a lot of pain and suffering if you just stop and pay attention. See, because that's where I'm at. That's the conversation I'm trying to get with my 20-year-old son. He's been angry at his father since he was 15. I used to be an angry kid, and that convinced me to sell my soul and join the army. I was so angry. I don't want my son.
I mean, I didn't go in the army, but I was an angry kid, and I went out and sold parts of my soul for fiat notes. I did it, man.
We had a lot of reasons to be angry, but you know what, Dick? We've been blessed to have learned. We now have the benefit of hindsight. And regardless, I mean, the future of humanity, right? Between the wars, the changes in climate is changing. I mean, and we're depleting our soils, we're destroying our planet. So people are going to become even more migratory than they've been in the past. People aren't going to have the luxury of homesteads. And if they do have homesteads, there's going to be other people trying to survive and scrambling for new places to live. So unless we change our collective society in the way we conduct our businesses.
But you know what? I'm hearing that you want people to vouch for you, but I'm also hearing that the underlying truth of that is what you really want is a relationship with your son.
I want the truth to be known about many things. One of the things I want the truth to be
known about. But let me ask you, if you could choose right now to have people vouch for you, or screw all that, you could just have a relationship with your son, what would you choose in this moment? You only get one option.
The only reason I want my son is so he'll vouch for me. I don't give a shit if it's my son or not. Tell you what, if you want to talk about plans excluding my son, I don't give a shit. You know, just like Jesus said, who is my mother? Who is my father? I don't have a fucking mother. I don't have a father. I got nobody except you, my brother.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking. because really,
So
that's really what it comes down to, right? Is if you have to have the approval of others, even your own
I
family,
don't.
at the stake of your own integrity, your own honor, then it ain't worth it, right? Fuck it,
Right. I don't claim to need anything, but what I am saying is it would be a benefit to me. It would be a benefit to this movement if I convinced my friends or maybe someone in my hometown to try and share a little bit of time to help me figure out what the fuck's going on in my life. Because if I am right and I didn't deserve to be fired, if people did actually let me down,
They did. I'm sure they did.
well, then there's an opportunity to fix the problem. And the only way to fix the problem is to bring attention to the problem. And my friends and family think there's no problem because they've moved on with their lives. They don't give a shit if I live or die. They just tell themselves they do.
Yeah.
People are liars, and it's the egos. You know, man, our human fragile egos, the excuses and the blame, that's what denies the Christed spirit from us. And that's why my friends and family haven't thought they could help me. And they don't think I can help them either. They get offended when I try and help them.
I'm going to tell you something though, Jack. I didn't know my father my whole life. He left when I was 5 years old. And I have a lot more perspective on it now. I know there's two sides to every story. It's not the story that my mama told me. There's more to the equation than that. And I didn't see my dad till he was on his deathbed. It was a month before he died. I flew out, ironically, because I had a ticket already booked for the company I was working for. Otherwise, I never would have seen him because I had so much anger in my heart for him not being there that I would have never had any conversation with him. But you know what I found when I got there to my dad in Prescott a month before he died? A man who wanted me to vouch for him, a man who wanted me to know and honor him. But he spent an entire life avoiding me and not reaching out. Now, I'm not saying you're doing that. This is my experience. But I do find it ironic that is what he wanted. He didn't sit down to tell me, son, I love you. I respect you, even though I never got a chance to know you, and I care about you, and I always did. He wanted to justify his actions so that I would pledge for him as being a great man. And I can't do that for him because no matter what, he may have done a lot of amazing things. I never fucking knew the man. And even if it was on disingenuous terms where he tried to reach out, because, according to him, it was like, I sent you birthday cards. Your mom tore them up. They never got to you. Everybody tried to stop that communication. He may be right in that. I still didn't know him. I didn't know the motherfucker. He may have been the best guy ever, but you know what? He wasn't a part of my life. So sitting there on his deathbed, having him try to tell me about our last name and how everybody in our family is great on this other side, it really fell on deaf ears for me because I just wanted a dad to fucking love me and give me a hug and
I
know that I had a
understand.
father, dude. And so this whole thing about having your son try to vouch for you, if he doesn't know you and he's angry, you're just asking him to do one more fucking thing for you. And it's not going to go over well. I'm just telling you from personal experience, from my perspective, being on the other side of that, dude, it was like chewing on tinfoil to have that conversation with my dad on his deathbed.
Well, brother, there may be a reason we're talking. Okay. I'd encourage you to look past what you didn't have and make sure you're grateful for what was given.
100%. Even the opportunity to see him at his
Amen. Right.
passing, dude. I mean, a lot of
That
people
was,
don't get that. And it wasn't
and
really closure for me because I had to work through that closure for years after that. But I think it helped him a lot, and
it
so
helped.
I'm happy I could do that for him.
It helped both of you. And please don't. I'm not. I'm not claiming for. I'm not jumping to asking for anything for my son. I want him to get to know me because you know what? I don't give a shit about the opinions and the criticisms from people on that panel and all the bullshit stuff people have said. I am a good man. I know who the hell I am. I know what I stand for. I know what I say, and I know what I do. And I know my son's life can be improved with the influence of someone like me.
I see that, and I know that's true. Don't ask him to vouch for you then. He
Well,
doesn't know you enough right now to vouch for you
right,
anyway.
right. But here's let our imagination. Okay. Actually, how are we doing on time? We're
I'm
already an hour.
fine.
20. You doing okay?
Yeah, if my signal's good enough for you, I think there's a lot of people taxing it right now, but um, I'm enjoying the conversation. If it gets real choppy, I'll just shut the camera off.
Let me paint this imagined picture for you, though. Okay. Jack's
Hmm.
La La Land of dreams. Okay. What if it is true that my life was created? Everything is beyond what I know, but this is my reality. I lived the life I did. It built me into an unwilling leader, an unwilling teacher. It built me into a servant. I'd also taken myself through hell. Okay. When my son, his first 15 years, he lived lovingly and he was adored in this home. But I was actually suicidal and depressed. I lived in hell in front of my son. So I then later escaped hell. God allowed me to focus my purpose into trying to understand God. I've dedicated my life to trying to understand God and Jesus and my purpose. So now I claim to live in heaven. I claim to have followed Jesus, discovered the kingdom of heaven. My eyes are open, and my days are spent in the presence of our Creator. So every day I'm in heaven. Now, my goal is to bring the minds and hearts of God's children, humanity. My goal is to somehow inspire the world to get over their fears and to bring their minds and hearts to the loving Father, Divine Mother, to the thoughts of God. So, in this aspect, I'm trying to find a human willing to help this father reunite with his son.
Hmm.
And then I think the Talcott's together. My son, man, he's an amazing. When I knew him last, he's brilliant. He's got a great sense of humor. He's very, very sharp and attentive.
I'm sure
And
he's amazing, dude. He's a chip
he,
off the old block.
he would have no problem confronting the other people in my past, the people who have put me up on a cross. He would have no problem if he saw the truth of me today. I'm confident he would have no problem standing up to those people who have attacked me and said, "Hey, what the fuck did you guys do?" And if it's not him, I'll find someone else. But so far, I haven't found anyone else. And I think it's a good story. God's trying to reunite with God's children. Here's a man trying to reunite with his son for the purposes of sharing the truth of God's love
Yeah.
through the world.
In John, it talks about when Jesus prayed to the Father and he said, I and the Father are one. And I pray to my Father that you would have this mindset as well, and that you would know that we are one. There's no separation, that I am in you and you are in me, and we are united in this truth. And what is this truth? This truth is a mindset. It's a mindset of freedom. What does a mindset of freedom look like? A mind of no condemnation. So sin is as far as the east from the west. So there is no more shackles of this condemning judgment or these ideas of enslavement that we're indoctrinated into. He's telling us, come out of her, my people. Let's be liberated of this. But we're all slaves. So he came to us as a master because we needed a master to liberate us. So he came in the form of what we saw had the authority to give us the permission to step out of these lies. And then once the people following him did it, he said, I no longer consider you the servant and me the master. We're just friends now. See, because he came in the form of what we needed to be liberated. But once we were liberated, he didn't seek to have hierarchy over us or own us. He wanted us to know that we were co-united and connected in that truth. And so if anyone has the opportunity to have eyes to see and ears to hear, if they're blessed by the Most High to hear what I just said, then they do know the truth now, and the truth should set them free. This is the message that people need to hear, your son and everyone. So they don't need to vouch for you. You just need to find the words and the compassion to stay steadfast in presenting a true gospel of truth, not this Christianese fucking bullshit, where it's just to enslave you more and bring you under another order, but that you're free of all this. But you have to claim it in your mind. And I know you've done that, Jack. I can see the words you speak, and I can see where you're coming from, that you are a liberated soul in that sense. So just keep the focus on what really needs to happen. You want your son to be free. You want him to be liberated. You don't need a defense for who you are and what you are. That will be shown through your fruits and your actions. And so I think just to help in the most that I can is to try to steer that into the real work that you need to do. You don't need to convince anyone to vouch for you or get anyone to vouch for you. You just need to present the truth.
Brother, you spoke so beautifully. The truth flowed. That was, yes, you.
It's not easy to do. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do, right? It's a lot of times easier to come up with some other plan of what we have to do and putting one foot in front of the other to walk this walk out.
Hey,
but there's only one truth, and there's only one way to the Father. And Christ said, it's me, right? You come through me. But what is he saying? It's not a plastic Jesus on a wall or some kind of graven image. It's the mindset that he offered. That's how you come through it, is that through that consciousness.
That's what I was trying to remember you, to recognize you saying. Jesus wasn't the example to be placed on the pedestal. He was our brother. He was the master teacher. He showed us how to serve one another, how to love one another, how to praise and to have divine faith. And so if we embrace the Christed Spirit within us, then we become one with that energy, right? One with that divine faith, that divine purpose, divine love. And if we're one with the Christed Spirit, well, that means we're one with God. Because the Christ and the Father are one.
No separation. No need for an intercessor either.
Amen. But see, use the biblical language, right? The concepts of the stories, and replace God with truth and Jesus with love. Those two are inseparable. Truth and love go together. There is no separation between those. When we are dishonest, we are denying love. And we live in a world of dishonesty, of judgment, of punishment, memories. We're stuck in the past. So we've got to unite the love and the wisdom.
Just shutting my camera because it's getting a little garbly. I don't know if it's on my end or.
I think it was. Hey, brother, you know what? We've been going an hour and a half. What do you think? I think we should break.
Yeah, let's pick it up again, man. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yes, but this was a beautiful introduction, and we really, holy crap, dude. These are the conversations that I seek. Thank you for sharing this, Dick.
Hey, thank you for sharing too, brother. I appreciate everything, It's cool to just have authenticity and share and hear everybody's journey. It's like it's part of why I've been drawn to the whole Paul and slave thing is I see so many people seeking in different ways, and I learn something from every conversation. I always do.
I do too. And Dick, before we go, I did want to actually, you seem like a really grounded guy. Your mind and spirit are pretty grounded into who you are and in the present. You mentioned some frustration and apprehension. I don't want you to disappear. I want you to, hopefully, I want to share some of my hope. You know, even if you
Yeah.
receive my hope with a little naive skepticism and you laugh at my hope, I don't care. Take some of it with you, okay? And have fun with it.
Shut off your camera for a minute and see if that helps me hear you better, because honestly, it's coming through real garbly now.
How about now? Does that make any difference?
I think it's better.
Is it? Well, brother, let's wrap it up anyway, okay? I'm going to
Yeah,
share
you
this
bet.
with I'm going to share this with a guy here in town who's been blowing me off. He said he's going to come back and have conversations with me again, but it's been about a year. I'm going to share this with him, and if he listens, maybe he'll better understand.
Yeah, that's awesome. I hope you'll
So
listen.
I do too. Hey, God bless, brother. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jack. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you again
Catch you
soon.
later.
Take
Peace,
care.
brother.